Hello guys, hope you're all having a very blessed day, evening, whatever time you're watching this video. I ain't got too long to record this just because it rains like every 20 minutes in Wales, so if I'm not quick I'm gonna get drenched. But basically what I wanted to speak about today is something that's quite personal to myself, and I'd imagine a few others out there watching this video, and that's to do with mental health. So basically I just wanted to share my personal experience with mental health issues and techniques that I personally use in coping with it. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video is for a couple reasons. Firstly, as I've said on a previous video, the Founders of Joy doesn't want to just display all these positive things and create this fake persona that life is perfect and only good things happen. We want to put across that life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, so we want to kind of display the less glamorous side of things sometimes and just keep things a bit more real, if you know what I mean. The second reason I wanted to create this video was because on this channel we actually want to make a positive change to this world. We want to help people, and I know there's a lot of people out there who do struggle in a similar way but aren't able to address it properly, whether it be because they lack confidence to address it with themselves, or they don't have a good network of people they can speak to about it. So I'm hoping that by watching this video, people that are in that situation are able to maybe gain a bit of confidence to address it themselves, or maybe take some of the techniques away that I'm going to talk about later in this video to try and use for themselves to see if they find that effective. But if any positive comes from it, then we've done our job. So for me, I've personally struggled with depression for about 2.5 years now, and then anxiety, I think really being present since I was a little kid, although it was only really something that I addressed as I got a bit older and I began to reflect on how I acted and behaved and why I felt certain ways and so on. So the anxiety comes in various different forms, but a lot of the time I think it can be present, as for other people, when you're in situations you're not comfortable with, whether that be with people you haven't met before or you're trying a new activity you haven't done in the past. Both of them are definitely present for me. Even though I'm quite a confident person, I'm quite outgoing when speaking to people, I can often find myself in situations when I don't feel very comfortable when I'm with someone and I'm trying to think about what I should say or how I should act rather than it just being natural. So I'm just sitting there with someone and I'm kind of thinking, should I say that, or would that seem weird? Or I'm kind of sitting in a certain position like this and I'm like, I've sat in this position for a bit too long, maybe I should move to this position, otherwise people are going to start thinking I'm weird. I think that very much goes hand in hand with just overthinking, which is, it's just a killer, mate. Like this, I'm sure a lot of other people experience as well, but overanalyzing like the slightest little details about something. So maybe you say something to someone and they have a face twitch like this or something like that, and to them it's just a face twitch, but you look at it and there's a million different scenarios going through your head, like, are they twitching because I said something weird? And that leads on to you then thinking, oh, now they think I'm a bit of a weirdo, and then in your head you're like creating all these crazy scenarios that aren't even there, and thinking just spirals down and you just make things worse for yourself. So an example of when I displayed a lot of anxiety when I was younger, which I didn't really realise was anxiety at the time, was every year when I got picked for cross country. So it was kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time, in that I'm quite an actively fit person, so it was good that they wanted me to take part because I'm a good runner. But then at the same time it was bad because I'd had a kind of bad experience with it in the past. So from then on, every year it got to that time of year and I was just panicking, and I'd always cancel and I'd bail out. But then one year I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, I'm definitely gonna do it. And all these thoughts are running through my head, like I'm gonna embarrass myself somehow, I'm gonna fall over and all these people are gonna start laughing at me, when that would never, realistically that wouldn't happen. You fall over, you get back up, and then it's just in the past and everyone's forgot about it. Yeah, so I got to the morning of this run and I was at my house and I was just panicking, I was in tears, I was like, no, I can't do this, I'm gonna mess up, I can't do this. And in the end I ended up bailing out again. But I think that was something that I did struggle with a lot, and I think still have a similar struggle, although now I'm more aware of it, I think I'd be able to tackle it a bit easier. So in terms of the depression, that probably came on about 2.5, 3 years ago, around the time when I went to the army or when I first moved out. And it often feels like this feeling of isolation, despite all these people being around you. And there's many other factors to it, and it can often be triggered in various different ways. So sometimes the smallest thing that will happen, like, I don't know, I'll turn and I'll knock something on the floor and it suddenly becomes this massive issue, and then it spirals. Sometimes it is actually something quite big that triggers it, or sometimes you just wake up and you just think, nah, not today, mate, I just can't be asked for anything. When I get like this, I pretty much lose my motivation for anything and everything. I try and separate myself from everyone just because it's so clearly shown in my emotions, like I can't hide it, and my body just feels like weak, both mentally and physically. Like I lose energy for everything. I'm just standing there in the corner sometimes like a zombie because I can't do nothing, and all you want to do is just, I don't know, just cry sometimes, which is okay, which is definitely okay. But when you're in that frame of mind, you just become so narrow-minded in the sense that you can't see the positive in anything. Like, you don't see yourself getting happier. Anything that you find fun suddenly just becomes dull, monotone. Your whole perspective of everything just changes. It's like you've just become a different person. And it's crazy because when you do eventually feel better, which you always do, you start thinking more objectively and you're like, how did I ever feel like that wasn't going to get better? It doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, well, next time I definitely will be able to tell myself things do get better. Then when you're back in that bad state again, you're back at square one. You can't see the positive in anything, and life just becomes bleak again. It does really feel like you are a different person. On top of this, I just feel like a burden. Pretty much when I'm like that, not only do you have negative thoughts about all the external world, but also about yourself. You lose all your self-worth. You don't think you're good enough for anything or anyone. And well, this is my personal experience anyway. Obviously everybody's is different, but for me, I just feel like I'm a burden to people when I'm like that, which I know it obviously isn't true, but when I'm in that state of mind, I forget how beautiful of a person I can really be. And I've come to realise that I'm a very emotional person in all senses. I get emotionally invested in whatever I do, and although it's bad in some respects, I also think it's healthy because it's bad to keep things bottled up inside, because when that energy builds and you don't let it out, it's only going to sit there and it's just going to fester, and it's going to build and build and build and build until you can't hold it no more, and then it all comes out at once. So it's better to let these bits of emotion out as they come rather than allowing it to build, in my opinion anyway. Some people might find different, I don't know, but that's personally what I find helps me the most. But even though I do struggle with this kind of stuff quite a lot, as I've got older and I've started to understand myself a bit better, as I've got a bit more mature, I've been able to kind of learn what particular things have more of a tendency to make me feel sad, like what situations to avoid, and what things I find most effective in dealing with the times when I'm feeling down or anxious. So yeah, I want to share with you a few of the methods that I use that I find beneficial in helping deal with the times when I'm feeling rough or anxious or sad. So hopefully anyone watching this video might be able to take these away and use them for themselves. So firstly, one thing that I find incredibly useful is regular exercise. Various reasons for this. Firstly, when you're exercising, it naturally releases endorphins and serotonin in your brain, which is basically chemicals that are like happy chemicals. They make you feel good. Unless you despise exercise, obviously, then don't do it. But for me, it's something that I'm a very active person, so I find it useful. It's also a good way of separating yourself from that situation that you're in and just creating a bit of headspace, basically. There's been so many times where I've just been sat in my home, feeling sorry for myself, just thinking life is shit, and I've managed to work up that motivation to go out for that run, and just bang my earphones in, and when I'm doing it, I don't have to think about any of these shit things that are going on at the time. All I can think about is my run, beating my previous time, the music I'm listening to, and when I come back from that run, I'm sat there and I'm like, I can conquer the world, mate. I feel like I'm an absolute champion. And the rest of that day is just next level productive because I've got all these endorphins flowing, I'm feeling good about myself, and it gives me a boost knowing that I have the power in myself to get myself out of that shit situation. Even though it doesn't feel like it at the time, and it may be difficult to find that way out, there is always that way, I promise you that. So a second method that I find really useful is something called hydrotherapy, and it's basically to do with coming in contact with cold water. It can be done in various different ways. Some people go for a swim in the sea. I don't live near the sea anymore, so what I do is towards the end of my shower, I gradually decrease the temperature to make it colder. So by the end, I'm pretty much showering in freezing cold water. This doesn't always sound like the most pleasant of methods. Obviously it's not very comfortable when you're underneath this cold water, but it definitely has its benefits. There's lots of different benefits from it, varying from an increase of oxygen intake, and it also reduces the release of the cortisol hormone, which is basically reduced in response to stress, so it helps keep you calm basically. I'm sure there's a lot more to all of this stuff. I've done basic research on all of it, but I'm not exactly any scientist on it, so feel free to look into it a bit more yourself, but there's definitely positive impacts from hydrotherapy. Now another method I find useful is meditation. This has all sorts of different uses. You can do it either with guided or completely in silence, or just with soothing music in the background. You can do it all different ways, and for me it basically works to give my mind a clean slate. Like after meditating, my mind goes from all of these thoughts jumbled up to just nice and clear. It allows you to kind of arrange your thoughts into a sensible way, basically, allow you to understand them a bit better and just become a bit more accepting of them. Sometimes you can be annoyed for certain situations in your life that you can't always help, you don't always have control over them, but for me, meditating just allows me to just say, okay, that's how life is at the minute. I'm going to make the most of what I've got. I'll leave a couple links in the description below for some guided meditations that I personally find really useful. So feel free to give them a go if you want to try meditation, whether it be for help improving your mental health or if you just want to use it in improving your life in general. It's up to you. One thing that I personally find really useful that some people may not be their cup of tea, others probably do it a lot, but that is crying. Now, I'm sick of this persona, or this idea that men need to show this strength and braveness all the time, that they can't show any emotion. I promise you that is so unhealthy for you, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're male, female, gender fluid, a rabbit, or I don't know about a rabbit, but whatever. We're all human beings and we need to show emotion. It's a part of who we are. So no one, regardless of who they are, should be put down for displaying that. I think on the whole in society, that idea is less apparent now. Like men are being more encouraged to show emotions, but I think within smaller groups and individuals within society, people still think that it is a sign of weakness. But I promise you, if you have the confidence to openly display emotions because you are comfortable with who you are and how you feel, that makes you more of a man than if you were to bottle it up and just allow this pain to just build up inside of you. Some people may not feel the need to cry. I personally cry like a little girl sometimes, and I'm completely okay with that because in my mind, it works as like a metaphorical toilet. I got all this energy built up inside me, I cry, and it's just flushed out of my system, and afterwards I feel fine and dandy. I'm like, right, good to go. The final method that I really want to put across to you guys is communication, whether that be with a friend or family or with anybody. Literally, talking about how you feel, for me anyway, I find so effective. This works both with my anxiety or with my depression. Like sometimes with my friends, if I'm feeling really anxious in a situation, just telling them I'm feeling anxious about this, or this is making me feel this way, helps for me personally in that it puts me at ease knowing that the person I'm with has a bit of a better understanding of how I'm feeling. Jesus Christ, I'm just turning into a ghost with this like sunlight shining on me. It also gives the person you're with an opportunity to try and help the situation, so do things to make you feel more comfortable, whether that be just reassuring you or making sure you're engaged with what's going on. It could be anything. Mental health you may not want to share with people all the time. Like me, you may feel like you're a burden for telling people your problems, or you'd rather try and sort it out yourself. But 90% of the time, dealing with these mental health issues is so much more difficult by yourself. So having that network of people to support you can just make getting through it so much easier. But I know that not everybody has the ability to share how they're feeling with people. So if anybody is in a situation where they don't feel like they can speak to their friends or family, or anybody of the sort, don't hesitate to get in touch with me, because I know how shit it is to feel like that. So I just want to offer myself and let anyone watching this video know that I am all ears. If anybody needs to get anything off their chest, let me know how they're feeling. If they need advice on anything, your boy is here. Even if we don't know each other that well, like if we've been in the same class together, or I met you at a rave, or I don't know. I don't give a fuck how well you know me. If you need advice or someone to speak to, I'm here. If you do want to contact me, just message me on Facebook, just put in Tom Bennett, or message Founders of Joy on Instagram. You can get in touch with me either of them ways. So yeah, I need to get inside and warm up my hands. To anyone that has made it to the end, thank you all very much for watching this video. Hopefully some people will be able to take something from it. Also, if you did enjoy watching this and want to see more, please subscribe to the Founders of Joy YouTube channel, where our goal is just to spread peace, love and balance to anybody and everybody. To every single one of you watching this, I hope you all stay blessed, stay balanced, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.